and happy Mardi Gras. Welcome to the Ahysen Nation. I'm Johnny Ahysen. It is Tuesday. It's the first day of March. It is March the 1st, Mardi Gras Day 2022. Back in the swing of things, and if you're going to the parades and all the fun activities today, please be careful. We have a very interesting show for you today. There are two gentlemen that have created a stand-up comedy tour called Live from Rehab, and it centers on their struggles. They're both many years sober. One actually was almost successful at taking his own life. He will be our second guest. His name is Benjamin Buchanan, and Benji, he goes by Benji, almost was successful in suicide, and the Lord pulled him out of that and showed him what his life was supposed to be about. He's gotten clean, and he is sponsored by the Gooden Center, which is a rehab recovery center on the West Coast that caters to the entire country, basically. And he hooked up with a guy named Zane Helberg, and Zane's the comedian that's going to be on stage. Benji does the opening and closing, and Zane is the comedian. The show is in New Orleans tomorrow night, and it will be at the Zeitgeist Theater in New Orleans tomorrow night. They travel to cities that are big rehab communities, if you will, and of course New Orleans, and the day after Fat Tuesday, it's going to be a safe place for recovering addicts to go. If you're recovering from any type of addiction, whether it's drugs or alcohol or anything else, the liquor cabinets will be locked up at the Zeitgeist Theater tomorrow night. And the show, there's two shows. The first one, I believe, is sold out. We'll tell you all about how to get tickets and all about what the show is and what it isn't. And we'll hear these guys' stories. They're very, very compelling stories and very emotional stories. So we're going to take you up and down the emotional roller coaster and end on a high note with a great feel-good show tomorrow night in New Orleans. So without further ado, I want to introduce our first guest, the actual comedian for the show, Zane Helberg. Good morning. Welcome to the Ahysen Nation.
Good morning. Thanks for having us. Happy Mardi Gras Day.
Thank you, sir. This isn't your first time to the Crescent City, is it? To the Big Easy?
No, you know what? I got married in December and in Florida, and so I drove from Los Angeles through New Orleans into Miami in December, which was my very first time there. I had a beignet, okay, and I did a little bit of a tour around the city. It was a beautiful place.
Wow, we're proud of the city. It's there's so much. Everybody talks about Bourbon Street, but Bourbon Street is like 1/120th of what New Orleans is all about. It's such a rich city full of rich culture and heritage, and I hope you got to experience some of that the little while you were there, and then hopefully today as well. Today and tomorrow.
Oh yeah.
So you're a comedian, and was this show, Live from Rehab, your puppy? Was this your creation?
Yes, this is the Live from Rehab is my my whole life right now. You know, in 2017, I started doing stand-up for people in recovery. I've been doing stand-up since 2008, and in 2017, I started going into hospitals and drug treatment facilities performing for people in recovery. It started at one little hospital, and I didn't think it was going to go very well. We were asked to come in, and I went with a group. We told a couple jokes, and the guys there were detoxing and had been off drugs like heroin and meth for just a couple days, and they had a really good time, and they were kind of shocked that they were able to laugh without putting drugs and alcohol in their body. And from there, I realized that this was something that really needed to be done. And I like making people laugh. I like doing stand-up, and I'm also in recovery myself. I've been sober since 2012. And, I suffered from some serious drug addiction and some serious alcoholism. So, very quickly it became like a perfect fit for me. And I was doing shows in rehabs, like 25 a month for like a year and a half. And then, I created an album, and I recorded it at a drug treatment facility and called it Live from Rehab. And then that started the tour. You know, I rented out a comedy club in Phoenix, Arizona in January of 2019. And that was the first night of the tour. And we've been going ever since. It's been about 3 years now, you know, give or take a little bit of a break during the old pandemic. But yeah, man, this is my passion. This is my love. I do stand up at regular comedy clubs and other venues, but these nights, like the night that we're going to have tomorrow night, is going to be special. It's just awesome. It's an awesome time when you get a bunch of people who are, you know, suffering from the same, you know, the same affliction together and laughing about their pasts, you know.
Where's the venue for tomorrow night in New Orleans?
Tomorrow night, it's at the Zeitgeist Theater and Lounge. Okay, and to be honest, the 7 o'clock show is completely sold out, and so the only one available. There's a few tickets left for the 9 p.m. show. You gotta be there. It's going to be a really awesome time. The bar is completely closed. It's a completely sober event. It's a safe place to come around this Mardi Gras time. And so if you're struggling, this is really the place to be, for sure.
What is your what were your addiction issues? Why do you think you developed them?
I'm a blackout drunk.
Excuse me?
That's just in my body, dude. I drink and I black out, man. It's you know, I'm not a doctor, nor am I a scientist or a psychologist. So I could make I could make a bunch of assumptions about, you know, the allergy in my body or the way I was raised, the people I grew up around, the fact that there was alcoholism in my family, like, but all I know is that when I drink, things go pretty bad. And I don't know, it is what it is, you know, and I've accepted that, you know, feels like a long time ago. I really had to come to terms with the fact that I can't take a drink. I can't take one hit of weed. I can't even take pain medication that isn't prescribed by a doctor. Like, I've got to be very, very careful. I can't even have too much coffee or I go nuts.
This sounds like a physiological problem within your chemistry. This doesn't.
I mean, for me, it definitely is.
Yeah.
It definitely is. I have when I start anything, I get a high tolerance very quickly. And especially when it comes to alcohol, for me, when I started drinking in high school at parties, and I quit drinking at 28. And for that 12, 13 years that I was going, I would black out. And I didn't know whether I was going to black out after 1 or 2 drinks or black out after 6 or 7 drinks. I could never tell when it was going to happen, but it was never at an opportune time. I was always blacking out and getting a little bit too drunk in the worst possible moments. And that's just not a way to live.
Did you drink to avoid pain? Did you drink to avoid issues? Were there life elements that you...
Dude, I drank to avoid issues. I drank when I was sad. I drank when I was happy, to celebrate, before work, after work, to relax, to wake up. I just drank. I liked it. I like getting drunk. I like to party. And, you know, I was just one of those guys that just took it too far and couldn't handle it.
And you've been sober since 2012, and you're in Sin City today, back here in New Orleans.
Oh, yeah.
Are all the
But, you know, it's been so long that I don't, you know, I've cultivated a life that, you know, like a sober life. And being out and about no longer scares me. It does not stress me out. I can come and go as I please anywhere. And that took a couple years to get to that place. But I feel relatively safe as long as I stay close to my network of people. You know, I've got a lot of real strong allies in the sober community.
I would think that would be your hope for other addicts or people that are in recovery, is that they can go out again, smile, have fun,
Yeah,
enjoy a
dude.
night with friends without being nervous about temptation.
You know, it took a little bit. Like honestly, it took at least a year or so for me to get in the groove. But like I do stand up for a living. I'm in comedy clubs, bars, dive bars, breweries, bowling alleys, you know, weird churches. Like I'm around people who are drinking. So like if I in any way had to feel tempted for the past 10 years, I don't think I would have been able to make it. You know, it's something that like if you really want to get sober, you can. It's possible for you. If you don't want to drink, you never have to drink again. That's the truth. And there's people out there that can help you,
But not every
especially
venue.
like we're with Benji. Benji is from the Gooden Center. They're like the people at the Gooden Center are doing such great work to help people who are struggling really get a good jump start into their new life. You know.
And the Gooden Center sponsors this tour, and we're going to get to Benji here in just a little bit. But getting back to you and your issues and so not to, like tomorrow night's going to be the bar's locked up, closed. There's no temptation, but you perform, if I'm not mistaken, in venues where the bar's wide open and people are half smashed in your audience. Is that correct?
Oh yeah. And I mean, look, my wife isn't sober. I go out to dinner with my wife, and she can have a glass of wine. I can't because I'll finish 2 bottles
How
before she
difficult is that?
finishes
I've
her
often
first.
heard from smokers that have quit after 40 years, they can't be in a room with smokers. They can't be around a smoker.
Yeah, because dude, smokers are gross whether you're smoking or not, dude. Cigarette smoke is disgusting. Wine is not. You know, a martini or a margarita in the afternoon for someone who can handle it, that's no big deal. You know, I'm just one of those people. Like I did smoke. I quit smoking shortly after I quit drinking, and good God, get me away from that stuff. Cigarettes are gross, man. You know, that's why people are vaping now because they can hide the smell.
How did you and Benji hook up?
Oh my God, dude, Benji and I tell a very different story about how we met. Like, so this was I forget what year. This was years ago, right? So I'm doing a corporate event in December of a few years ago, and it's for treatment professionals. I'm doing stand up at a Christmas party for treatment professionals. I was told there was going to be like 80 to 100 people there, and it was going to be like an hour and a half of stand up as their entertainment. And I show up, Benji's there, and there ends up being like a total of 12 people in the audience in a room that was sat for a full 100. And I'm at one end of the room, and everyone in the audience is like what feels like a football field away. And I stood up there and I bombed for like 45 minutes straight. I just was like, just eating it, dude. Just like I was resorting to like making fun of them, and it was just bad. And afterward, Benji's crazy, man. He gives me a hug. He's like, "That was amazing." He's like, "I want to sponsor a tour for you." And I was like, "You're joking. This guy's just blowing smoke up my butt, you know?" And then a month later, he called me, and we started this relationship. And man, you know, Benji, to be honest, Benji has been a godsend for my life. He's really helped me with a lot of the direction and like the direction of where the show's going to go. And he really has helped me believe that this can be something that not only do we do on a small scale, but like we can take this nationally and do it in front of large groups of people. Like if it wasn't for Benji, I don't know where I'd be right now.
I want to bring Benji in. Benji, jump up on with us. Benjamin Buchanan, Benji Love, as he's referred to on stage. And Benji, your story is equally as fascinating too. First of all, welcome. Welcome to South Louisiana. Good morning to you.
Good morning. Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it is my pleasure. Now, you are with the Gooden Center. Is this your facility, or are you just very actively involved in it?
No, so the Gooden Center is actually a nonprofit treatment center that's been around since 1962. It's a nonprofit that helps people with addiction and mental health. And I just, I've you know, being a suicide survivor and being in recovery for the past 5 years, I needed a place I could work at where I knew, I was helping and being of service. And the Goodness Center, invited me to work for them, and I've been with them ever since. And it's been a blessing because they have the heart and soul of a nonprofit, and we're here to help. And there's no place I'd rather be.
Now, the Goodness Center, a lot of us are fans of the show, the series Jackass. And who was the star, one of the stars of that show that, was it Stevie? Not Stevie.
Steve-O.
Steve-O got clean in your center.
Steve-O finished out his treatment at the Goodness Center. And you would think, I'm allowed to say that he came to the Goodness Center, with anonymity, just because he put us in his book. And so I could freely say it because we're in his book. But yeah, he did finish, his treatment with us, and he's been sober ever since. He's been sober for over a decade. And you got to imagine, if you watch the show, this guy is wild. And you would never think he could be sober. And he is living, an amazing sober life right now. Still very successful, still making, movies and writing books. And he has a stand-up out right now himself. So, yeah, it's pretty amazing.
Benji, let's talk a little about your story. Yours is a little off to the left or right from Zane's story, but you almost successfully took your own life. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. Zane was, when he was talking about, he's not a doctor, he's not a scientist, he doesn't know where, this comes from, he's just a blackout drinker. For me, I have a pretty good idea, what happened to me. It happened as early as, right the first day I went outside to play, that's when I knew something was wrong. Being a Filipino American, I was raised in a generally white community. And so when I walked outside, I was different. You go from inside the house to outside the house, and to see that I was different from everybody, that was shocking. And I automatically felt uncomfortable in my own skin.
Were they making fun of you, or it's just you just felt different?
It was brutal. I was teased, bullied. It was relentless because being the only, person of color in the town, it was horrible. And the school teachers really didn't know, how to handle me because they really didn't know. I remember stories. They would, in school they'd have sharing. Today's sharing day. People would share their Hot Wheels and their toys. My teachers would take me out to the front. Everybody, we have a special person. His name is Benjamin, and he's from a different country. So it was tough. A story I do like to tell, and this happened when I was in third grade. Back then, obviously they don't have it now. They have Cowboys and Indians Day. And, everyone was outside. You're either a Native American or you're a cowboy playing outside. And by this time in third grade, there are two other, people of color. There's Mackie and Scott, African American and Japanese. And you know what characters we got to play? We didn't. We were inside. They put a cardboard plaque over us, and it's read slaves. And we had to sit inside and watch everyone play. And we kept on talking to each other. Oh, what are you going to be? And talking about, going outside and we just thought we were going to be inside for like half an hour. We never got to go outside and play. So, for me, the alcohol, the drugs, what happened to me is when I finally started using at a young age, it made me feel normal. you know, all that fear, all that insecurity I had, it was gone. And it just made me feel a part of. And all of that bullying I endured, all that teasing, I was able to shift that in my mind. If they're teasing me and they're bullying me, they're accepting me. And so I embraced that identity. You know, I allowed them to tease me. I allowed to be the butt, myself to be the butt of every single joke. And, you know, they'd tease me, make fun of me. I laugh with them, ha 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 ha, and let them tease me, let them push me around, and I would just laugh about it and let them laugh. But inside, inside, it was tearing me apart, right? And but you know, when I started, like I started using at a very young age, around when I was 11 or 12, and it just made me feel okay. You know, I didn't have to pretend I was brave, I was bold, I was courageous. I was brave, I was bold, I was courageous, and it was to my new superpowers, to the alcohol and drugs. It made me feel normal, and from there on, that was it. It was off to the races, and that became my identity.
I
Was you
can't even
know the
smile.
alcohol.
I can't even smile. I mean, you're laughing and cares. You know, I can't even smile about that. It just breaks my heart. I mean, that people are so cruel, and we see it today in the social media world and things like that, and we hear the suicides are up. In fact, I think it was a stat that I read from one of your pieces that drug overdose deaths rose 30% in the year 2020, which is the highest ever recorded.
You know, unfortunately, we've been really, really busy at our center, you know, just because of the isolation and what's been going on in the world the last couple of years. You know, the mental health and the addictions are really starting to come out. And, you know, it has been a hard last couple of years, you know, really hard for me, in fact, because you know, I get to talk to these people that are suicidal or suffering from addiction. And there are a couple gentlemen that I spoke to, and shared my story, my hope, you know, and I thought I did a great job. I thought I gave them hope. They wanted to come into treatment, which they went. I was able to get them resources in the city they were in. And, you know, I felt good. You know, we laughed, we cried together. And I just got a call 2 weeks ago that both of them had passed, attempted suicide. And it crushed me. It crushed me because, you know, I took that, you know, because I really thought I was able to help them. And I have to learn that I can't change anybody. And all I can do is share my light, my testimony as a beacon of hope. And that's all I can do, you know, just bring love each day. And if I bring love and kindness each day, I'm doing my job.
When did you try to commit suicide? How did you try to do it?
This was 5 years ago. This was 5 years ago. And, you know, you got to imagine years and years and years of using and lying and cheating and manipulating and just every day, you know, high school and college, you know, it was fun. After college, it was fun. Then I just couldn't take the guilt and the shame anymore. And I woke up one morning. I woke up one morning and I just said, you know, I'm going to kill myself today. No plan, you know, just sick and tired of being sick and tired. And, you know, I walked, it was a bright day, you know, I was walking to the beach and I remember it like it was yesterday. You know, it was, you know, everything was moving in slow motion. And all I can hear, you know, was my voices in my head saying, you know, you're worthless. Nobody loves you. You're better off dead. You know, you know, there's no point in living. No one loves you. And that just kept on repeating and repeating. You're worthless. You know, I kept on repeating in my mind. And by this time, I didn't have a penny in my pocket, so I couldn't self-medicate with any alcohol or drugs. I had nothing to wash that down. It was just the chaos in my mind. And, you know, I walked to the beach in California, and I found the bottle, and I shared it, and that was it. You know, I put my, you know, I had my phone at me at the time. I called my brother and let him know that I was gonna kill myself, and he was shocked, obviously, because I've been such a liar for so long. They had no idea. They had no idea. He thought I was living a great life, but I was hiding my pain for so long, and you know, and he was shocked, and I hung up on him, and then I went onto Facebook and I put my suicide letter on Facebook, threw my phone into the water, threw all my, you know, my IDs. I didn't want to be identified, threw it into the water, and I did it. You know, I used that bottle on my wrist, and I did it, and that was it. It went to darkness, just like that.
Now, I don't want to end on that note, because obviously that day at the beach didn't end things for you, because you're sitting right here before me now. So what happened? Obviously,
You
your
know
brother rescued you, I would think.
I asked for death. You know, I asked for death that day, you know, and I was given life. That's what happened, you know. And you and I, you know, and when we talked before the show, I had mentioned, you know, my encounter, because I don't really talk about this much because of people's sensitivity to it. But what, you know, I wasn't, when all this happened, I wasn't a believer. I was born and raised Catholic, but I was never really a believer of God. And when I went out, you know, I had my encounter with God, and, you know, I felt the love and the peace that I've never felt before. And just like that, you know, I woke up, you know, in the ER, and I survived, which was a miracle in itself. You know, I'm told by every single clinician, doctor, they're going to airlift me because they didn't think I was going to make it to a different hospital they thought could help me. But I lived, and it was a miracle. It was a miracle. I should be dead.
You must have, I mean, good gracious, you must have bled out.
It wasn't a cry for help. I did some damage, and everyone thought I was a goner. But what happened was, you know, throughout my whole life, I went this journey of all this pain and all this struggle. And, you know, I came out of this whole situation with a purpose. And the purpose, you know, was to help others that was suffering like I was suffering, you know. And I woke up in that ER, you know, after feeling, you know, the love from God. I was sent back, and it took, you know, it took some time in treatment and recovery. But that light God shined upon me that day. You know, he said, you need to go back and help others. And that's what I've been doing 5 years ever since. You know, every day I get to wake up, I get to share that light that's in me, to others that are struggling. And it's amazing. I'm living a life today that I never thought was possible. You know, back then, you know, in those days, I didn't tell you I worked in Hollywood. You know, I was partying with celebrities. You know, I had a house by the beach. I had a boat. I had everything you could possibly imagine. But I was always empty inside. Always empty. Today, I'm sober. I'm free. And I have God in my heart. And I'm just happy, joyful, and free. And I have everything I possibly need. And every day I could wake up and be kind and loving to others around me. And that's my job. It's amazing.
I had a good friend. My life changed in 2019 in November, the Monday before Thanksgiving, when a very dear friend of mine committed suicide in his own home, left his wife and 3 kids, and I didn't go to the funeral because I didn't feel like, I felt like the suicide was very selfish. I felt like he had no consideration for what he did to his family and his friends. And this program is as much for me as it is for publicizing tomorrow night's show, because I don't understand suicide. What do you say to people like me? What do you say to people that are not like me, that are contemplating suicide?
So you just said this. You just said that you're a little angry. You felt like he was selfish. You just said that, right?
Yeah.
So in the mind, in his mind, when you're in that state of being suicidal, imagine smashing your finger in the door of your car as hard as you can. At that moment, if I ask you what your birth date is, you won't be able to tell me, because you're going to be so focused on that pain. So focused on that pain. And that's what's going on with someone who's suicidal. They have so much pain, they can't think clearly. They're not being selfish. They just don't know what's going on. They're just focused on the chaos and pain that's in them.
But that's such that's such a permanent solution to a temporary problem.
Yeah.
Because there are organizations like yours, organizations like, mental health. I'm in, to this day, I'm in every other week therapy with a board certified social worker, and I'm not shy about saying that. Not for suicide reasons, and not because my friend committed suicide. I have something else going on. I've got an anxiety disorder, but so there are. What I'm saying is there are resources.
There are resources, and that's what I do every day is I get out into the public, and because there's such a stigma with suicide and addiction. People want to stay away. So I'm not crazy. I'm not an addict. I have to let them know it's okay to get treatment, and I get to use my story, and at the Goodin Center, we've been around for 60 years, and we've had, again, Steve-O, but professors, lawyers, mothers, kids, teenagers that were living under a bridge. Mental health and addiction, it doesn't discriminate on age or your social standing. It gets you. And for us, we have to break that stigma to let people know that it's okay to get treatment. And like yourself, you do therapy. I also do therapy, but we have to be out there to let people know it's okay to go into treatment and to seek help. Because if I never went through what I went through, going through treatment to see how free I became, then how can I share that with others? I can tell you through my journey that it's possible to live a different life.
Do you know beyond a shadow of a doubt that you will never attempt suicide again in your life? Can you say that?
I'm human, right? I go through the everyday struggles and stressors that you go through. When I first got into this, I had thoughts, that I couldn't handle it when I first started. But every day I'm growing, and every day I'm just seeing the world in a different light. I can confidently tell you right now that I would never make an attempt again. And I could confidently tell you that because, the life I'm living now, the love I'm feeling now and the love I'm sharing with others is it's real.
Yeah, because we're all going to have challenges in life. We're all going to, but with the resources and with your experiences and with your network now, you have resources that will help you deal with everyday issues that might knock you down a little bit today or tomorrow or next week kind of deal.
Johnny, that's what treatment does. You go to treatment and it teaches, it gets to the root of all these issues, this depression, anxiety. So, when you're starting to feel triggered, when you're starting to feel like you want to kill yourself, when you want to grab that bottle of alcohol, what treatment does is it helps you recognize those triggers, those emotions, and it gives you coping skills, at that time when you never had coping skills before. What do you do when you start to feel suicidal? You breathe, you be mindful, you call a loved one. we give you all the tools that you need when you start to feel triggered, and we ingrain that in you. So, in the long run, you have these tools in your toolbox, we like to say, to keep you safe.
And one of the tools for both of you guys is the show and this touring comedy show that Zane does live from Rehab tomorrow night in New Orleans. Tell me how we can get tickets. How much are they? He's already told us that the bar is going to be locked, so it's a safe place for people in recovery and to go out and have an absolute blast, have a night of fun. How can we get tickets for? He said the first show sold out, obviously.
Well, guys, I'll tell you what. You can go to my website to go get tickets to the comedy show. I know it's kind of abrupt to go from talking about suicide for 30 minutes, then go right into promoting a comedy show. It's kind of a hard left turn on the conversation there.
It's therapy.
But I'll tell
you,
tomorrow's Ash Wednesday, all right? And there's a lot of people struggling through this Mardi Gras night and possibly in through the rest of the week. And we're going to have a fun time. And we're going to have a lighthearted time. And we're going to take an hour or an hour and a half to forget about any problems that are going on in our life. And we're going to sit back and we're going to laugh and we're going to talk some trash. You're going to listen to me tell some stories and some jokes and talk to some of the audience members and do some roasting. And I'm going to roast Benji a little bit. And it's going to be fun, which is like the point. The point of like having a good life, and especially when you're a drug addict, is to go out and have a good time and forget about all that dark stuff that we lived through just for a moment, and to look back and realize that you're not there anymore, and that you have an opportunity to go out and have, a really good life. And so that's what tomorrow's all about. It's about having a good, fun life without putting drugs and alcohol in your body. And look, we're selling tickets to this show, but if you can't afford it, show up. We'll figure it out. All right.
What's your website? You mentioned
my website is zanehelbergcomedy.com. Okay, zanehelbergcomedy.com. You can also message me on Instagram or Facebook. My handle's at Zane Helberg. It's just my name. If you want to reach out to me for any reason, if you can't afford tickets, if you can't find how to get tickets, just find me on social media. I will help you get to the show. We're going to have an awesome night. It's 9 p.m. Be there a couple minutes early. The show is going to go from like 9 to about 10:30, and then we're going to hang out for a few minutes afterward, and we're all going to get to know each other, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So please come to the show because I'd love to see you there, and I'd love to meet you.
And tell us again where it's at.
It is at Zeitgeist Theater and Lounge. All right, Zeitgeist Theater and Lounge.
Now I need to tell our audience, this is not for the young'uns. This is a full-blown.
Oh no, adults only.
A full-blown
18 and
adults-only comedy show. You will be thoroughly entertained.
This is good. Like, to be honest, like I've been minding my manners here.
Yes, I know.
But the show is it's vulgar, it's raw. It's about a lot of it is stories from my crazy relationships and my drug-addled past. And it's not for the faint of heart. It's if you feel like you ever need to wear earmuffs when people are talking, maybe my show's not for you.
I've watched your show on YouTube and a couple of them, and they were hilarious. But I think the funniest thing I saw you do was when you were on, I believe it was a Fox affiliate in Denver. I think it was Denver.
Oh, it was in Salt Lake.
Salt Lake City, Utah. And they gave you the floor for 2 minutes in the studio. You had maybe 10 people in the studio, 9 of them completely out of your demo, and you were the funniest I've ever seen you, trying to keep it clean, trying to make it entertaining.
Thank you.
And yet you had this, you were just in this shell, and I was busting a gut watching you try to.
Oh yeah, you know what it would be like if I came to your studio to try to do stand-up for you and your crew. There's no way that's going to go well.
It's one thing to get people in here that are musicians, and you interview them, and then you go, okay, play us to break or whatever. But a comedian with your type of raw, and say, oh, give us 2 minutes of the show. You're like, okay. And that's exactly what you were for 2 minutes, and I was rolling on the floor.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That was being on the news at 9:30 in the morning, and being told to keep it clean. And the set was very impromptu. They're like, hey, the next guest, they looked at their watch. So like, the next guest isn't going to make it. Can you get up there and do some of your act? I'm like, you don't want me to do your act. You're all going to get fired if I do this.
You lose your FCC license. It's great, man. I'm so glad you guys are in Louisiana, and I'm so glad that you're promoting. It's so weird. You talked about, it's awkward going from, and Benji told me there were no holds barred on the show. Nothing that I couldn't talk about, so I didn't feel bad.
Nothing is off limits.
I didn't feel bad getting into Benji, into your story, but this is a way to get people, A, aware, and B, educate them about what this is and what it isn't, and to C, turn them on to valuable resources that you have both, for the whatever reason, have been able to get into recovery and turned your life around.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Any closing thoughts, Zane, before I head over to Benji for closing comments?
I just, I love being here. You guys are awesome. New Orleans is a fantastic city, and you can enjoy this week without getting hammered. You can do it, and you come do it with us at the show. We're going to have a good time, and we're all going to do it without putting drugs and alcohol in our body.
God love you, man. Zane, that is incredible, your walk that you're continuing. Benji, are you okay over there? I took us to
I'm okay. I'm okay. And I was just thinking, this is the first but second time I've been in New Orleans. I was in New Orleans at a bachelor party, and I have zero recollection of New Orleans. I was blacked out from the plane ride there and the plane ride back. So I get to experience New Orleans today, present, and
all right, I'm going to help you. And in fact, Zane can probably put this in his show, and the audience would go crazy. I'm going to help you not get beat up today when you walk out of the room you're in right now. If you say New Orleans, they're gonna. It's on. It's New Orleans. New Orleans.
New Orleans. New Orleans.
Say it with me.
I'm going to work.
New Orleans.
New Orleans.
So it'd be funny if Zane goes on stage, hey, New Orleans. That room will die.
I would never in a million years sully the name of this city like that.
Oh, I love it. Boy, you two guys are just incredibly awesome. Benji, give us some information on your organization and how that, obviously that's not going to be for somebody for right here in Louisiana, but I'm assuming with the Gooden Center, you can turn us on to organizations that are in our jurisdiction for people that need help here in this area, correct?
I absolutely can, but believe it or not, we do take people from all over the nation, mostly all over the nation, because what we provide is something other people don't provide. We provide treatment not only for addiction, but we also provide treatment for mental health. So we're dual licensed, and we do it at a nonprofit level. So we're not doing this for, to have, fill bed for a profit. We do this because we have the heart and we want to help people. So we do get people mostly from all over the nation. So we are the Gooden Center, and you can find us on you can find us on the web at thegoodencenter.org. We've been in business since 1962, saving lives since 1962. And can I give my phone number out?
I wish you would.
You can call me personally if you're struggling or you need help, because I answer my phone 24/7 days, 7 days a week. That's what I do. My phone number, if you're struggling or need help or need to find resources within your city, call me at area code 949-501-1242, and I'll pick it up and we can talk. And, you know, I'm with the Gooden Center, at Pasadena, California. You can find us at thegoodencenter.org.
Fantastic. 949-501-1242. We have it on the screen. I didn't cross any lines today, did I, Benji?
No,
right.
this, you know, this was perfect. This is perfect, and
I know Zane will cross some lines tomorrow night, but that's cool. We want him to do that, but
you actually helped me because I do the emceeing, and if I would have said the city wrong, oh man, that would have been a horrible start to the night. So thank you for saving me.
anytime, and thank you for saving so many others and telling people there is hope. This is something you can do. I'm living proof of it. So thank you guys so much. Zane Helberg, have a great show. I know you got one sold out. The second one almost sold out. Benjamin,
yeah, thank you very much.
Benjamin Buchanan, Benji Love, thank you, and we'll look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow night to start Lent. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.